Hey everybody, and thanks for listening to Starting a Record Label. This podcast is about me going through the motions, starting a record label. So I started thinking about where I can get some more information, maybe see some people that have actually gone through this process before, like just straight up talking to indie record labels, and found a few that I really enjoyed. And one of them is Joe Urban's Take This to Heart Records. He's a really nice guy, and he gives me a lot of great information, as well as talking about some of the current bands he has on this record label and some bands that he helped get to other record labels like Epitaph and Triple Crown. It's really cool to hear his story. He seems like a really genuine dude, and I'm really happy that I got this interview with him. But before we start, if you could do me a favor and subscribe and share this interview, that'd be great. It goes a long way to help this podcast find the listeners that would really be interested in listening to it. And also, if you're interested in being on the label, if you go to nottodayrobot.com, you can enter in all that information right there. But without further ado, Joe Urban of Take This to Heart Records. So, I don't know if you know about the podcast at all, if you listen to it all. It's basically, I want to start a label, and I thought the best way to do that is to talk to other labels and see hey, I see all these guys that are doing a really good job, especially independent ones. I want to know kind of how they tick and how they got started. So what made you start a label?
This is kind of like the second go around with a label. I was in a band before. I worked at a recording studio after the band, fizzled out. And then I was trying to manage bands, and that didn't go well. Where I couldn't, I couldn't really find them a team or whatever. So I decided to start my own thing and just build it from there.
Cool. Was it a large studio you worked at, or where are you guys out of, by the way?
I'm in Western Massachusetts, and actually, all our shipping and any employees we have are in Cleveland, and that's as recent as 2017. We added all the merchandising shipping people.
Oh, wow. Do you go through a separate company, or are they actually all employees of your label?
Yeah, they're employees of the label.
Nice.
So, the shipping is the worst part, really. When you're doing it on your own, trying to do, everything else and then ship out, 20 records a day. It's
Oh, I'm sure. I have a friend that does. He used to work at DreamWorks, and then he started doing comic books, and that blew up online. And so he does videos of the crap he had to go through, from trying to ship his own stuff, and it seems like such a headache. When did you guys move to having more than just you shipping?
When we worked we got a deal with a ADA, which is a distribution company, where we got our records in independent record stores, and people were taking more of them. I needed to, just not have 10,000 records in my house. I really didn't need that to happen.
Nice.
That was pretty much the goal, is to just move everything out of here. Even though I do have some stuff in my basement, older, the first few releases that no one wanted to pick up. I still have them, and the bands that. There's always going to be a band that, oh, yeah, let's put out the record. I'm oh, I love this record. And you put it out, and the band breaks up. And then you're just saddled with. It happens once every couple years, definitely.
Wow. That's, yeah. That would be such a sad feeling, I am so sure. I mean, I've even had, I'm a recording engineer, by trade, and I've had bands put down, the payment up front. I usually do half up front, and a week later, they'll be yeah, we broke up. I'm and I have to, okay, I think here's your money back,
I worked at a studio, in Western Mass called Zing Studios, where they did a lot of metal records. They did Killswitch Engage, Under Oath, Devil Wears Prada, Day to Remember.
Nice.
And in between, there's always, some smaller bands. And I've been in the studio where bands just break up in the studio.
Oh,
it's. On the first album, you never really know how hard it is for a band to just finish the first album and play on it. I see so many bands, at least locally, throughout my the last 20 years of just in music, people trying to get the first album done, and they just can't do it.
I think that probably is harder for bands that are indie bands on an indie label. I think for some odd reason they're in that that period of like, is this real or not? Like, is this going to be like a real job now? And, their day jobs. And I think it's just hard for them. And at some point, some people maybe in the band, it's just not, it's not their priority. I don't know. I've seen some of those crashes, and I don't know. It's sad.
It's disappointing. You always can see there's always one or two people in the band that are just so gung-ho that maybe they're pushing people to do something they don't like. The other members, they like the band, they enjoy the music, but they just can't make the commitment like the other people want to do.
Yeah. So, like, how many artists are actually on your label right now?
Active that are on the label. I mean, I think we're working like 13 artists, but a few of them are on bigger labels, but we're still doing like promoting back catalog stuff. And a band like Future Teens actually on Triple Crown, but we have one more release with them. Mm-hmm. So we're pretty much like 13 artists. We're just building up and all in various stages of their career.
Cool. I was gonna say, like, I'd read a interview of you a while. I actually can't remember how far back it went, but they'd ask you like, what's the goal of your label, and you'd said to continue to put out records that you love, build bands, send them to bigger labels until we can house bigger bands ourselves, and have fun doing what we do. And I thought that was like, that's brilliant. Like, I love the fact that you're like, hey man, if you guys outgrow us, it's totally cool to leave. One of the things like I hope to do in the future is if this label gets taken off that I'm trying to work on, is to make sure to try as hard as I can to not have any like bad blood about like a label or an artist wanting to leave to do bigger, better things. Has anyone, I guess you just talked about it a little bit, has anyone moved on to bigger labels since you started?
Yeah, like Save Face is on Epitaph now, and Tyler, like I still talk to Tyler every day.
Nice.
And like, he's playing me demos from, maybe I shouldn't be saying it, but he's working on his Epitaph album and he's asking me what I think about it still. I mean, like the Future Teen folk are on Triple Crown, and this is the second band we've sent to Triple Crown. And and honestly, like that label's just really, really straightforward, really good people. And I don't mind it. Like if I know a label can do more than I can do quickly, and it's the right fit, and then the team behind the band thinks it's the right fit, then I'm okay with it. I don't think I've ever had to fight with a band on any situation where like, hey, we got an offer from a bigger label. What do you think? I'm like, let's all discuss it. We're pretty transparent in that.
That's cool. And those decisions have generally gone pretty well.
Yeah, like even with the Future Teens album, like I sent the record to their team. Like I'm like, this record's so good, it needs to be on it needs to find a bigger home quickly. Mm-hmm. And we worked out a fair deal that I think benefits the band and both labels, which is very rare because they're managers in a band, so he understands the situation. And I felt it worked out, and I think everyone I'm working with on the Future Teens team is great, and they let me, I'm not left out. I'm not in the dark on anything they're doing. So that's really what makes me feel good. Very
cool. Did you have any favorite labels when you were, starting out, growing up, etc.?
Oh man, I loved Saddle Creek.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that DVD still like once a month just to get stoked. It's just like all their bands were from the same town at first.
Yeah.
It's a great story. I was always a big like Epitaph fan. I loved like the Vagrant stuff in the 2000s, like Drive Through Records for a short time was just the biggest thing.
Oh yeah, they're just putting amazing stuff for a long time there.
Yeah, I love back then, like just looking at how they put out records, they would always do this EP of a brand new band, like starting line. Here's like 5-song EP, 2 songs are on the next full length. Mm-hmm. Just to ease you and tease you into that stuff. And Saddle Creek did the same thing. And I don't see that too much in marketing now, but yeah, maybe I'll bring it back.
Yeah. I mean, they used to have, I know labels started putting out compilations like a long time ago, and like that was a major thing. Even selling the compilations made them a crap ton of money,
Oh yeah. Another Year on the Streets. I mean, Asian Man Records did Mail Order Is Fun, which is like my favorite one probably ever.
Mm-hmm.
I've got every single version. I was a big ska kid.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm generally from outside Chicago, and I moved to LA here for, doing music stuff in 2008. But yeah, definitely I was huge into punk and ska.
You get to see Slapstick? They're from Chicago.
Oh yeah, yes, it's one of my favorites, man.
I think I saw them in Connecticut at the Tune In, but I was too young to like really care.
We used to always have Mustard Plug coming through because I'm pretty positive they're from like the Detroit area.
Mustard Plug's always around.
Still.
Yeah, I did for like a Warped Tour. I did like merch for Big D and the Kids Table in like 2005, 6, and that was just kind of like one of my first super long tours to go on.
Nice. Was that I don't know? Was that tiring to go on that kind of a deal?
Yeah, it was. It just you just don't sleep. Mm-hmm. You don't sleep, but it's so much fun. Just waking up,
running on pure adrenaline.
Literally, Monster. I told you I was going to get a Monster energy drink, and this is where my love for Monster came from.
Nice.
We got free blue Monster energy drinks if you're on the tour, and I would just kill them. I would like live on them. My heart's going to explode soon. So what can you do?
Seriously, like I'm late 30s, so like that stuff, like I'm like, this is going to help me be more energetic. Like, no, this is going to give you more anxiety today.
Yeah. I need it to get through the day. Sometimes it's coffee, and then I graduate to a Monster.
Do you have a certain genre that you generally work with?
I don't know. I just kind of do what I think I really love. We dabble in, I guess like the indie rock punk world. Like we have like the really pop bands, like a City Mouth is really pop. They're border on like radio pop, and we have bands like Kali Masi, who's more like Menzingers pop punk, and then like Sarah and the Safe Word is like cabaret rock, like full on like violin cello stuff. And I really just try to do what I like, and I try not to sign too many bands that sound alike.
Yeah.
And I guess that's more, I don't want to send press and promo stuff and putting on a record like into the same people like all the time.
And they might be like confused, like, is this other band? They sound similar.
Yeah, or just like this is you're a one-trick pony. This is the only thing you're good at doing.
Like I remember when Mest came out, I'm pretty positive Goldfinger was like helping them out, and I'm like, they sound very similar.
Oh yeah, I think John from Goldfinger produced the Mess stuff. I think
I think you're right.
Mess came out on like Madonna's label. Maybe I could be wrong. Maverick, that's what it was called, Maverick.
I noticed a lot of labels that I've talked to. The person in charge still has like another like side gig or side job outside of owning the label. Are you 100% in the label right now, or do you have an outside job?
No, I'm still working. Of course, I'm still working like 20 to 30 hours a week at another job for the good old insurance.
Ooh,
yeah, a pretty good company. It's like a grocery store, which is now it's hard work now with during these times. You just go in and just run around.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, especially with the grocery. Gosh, they have to be posting a crap ton of profits for one. For two, that has to be just an insane amount of work right now.
Oh, it's just like you do it. You get out everything you can. Kind of call it my exercise. I'm doing that.
That seems like a very stable situation normally, though.
Oh, normally it's pretty easy. I usually just do some nights so I can kind of wake up, check in with the bands, emails, kind of plan my weeks. I do like, I think it's 3 nights, 3 to 9. So one's like 12:30 to 9. They're super flexible. It allows me just to, stay grounded, do a job where I don't really need to think. No offense to that job. It's just, here's the stuff you need to put out. Here's where it goes. It's not hard. It's just, tedious, time consuming, and doing it safely.
Do you know who Ari Herstand is?
I don't.
He was a musician, or still is, I guess, but he kind of became like a music blog guy. He was helping fight we had a horrible law out here in California called AB5 that, it was stupid. It screwed a bunch of musicians over. But anyway, in one of his books, he had said, get yourself, like, if you're going to work in the music industry, whether it be, a band or whatever, like, get yourself a job that takes your body and not your mind. It's like, because, you want to have that creative energy as opposed to, You know, if you work at Starbucks, it's like, okay, good, I can at least save that creative energy for later, you know?
And I did work at Starbucks when I was in a band.
Yeah.
Yeah, that when I was writing albums. Yeah.
Do you think that helped as opposed to like something that would, you know, you being in an office or something, someone just more annoying you to death?
I do like this. Working in the studio was more. It was more creative and trying to, you know, you're talking to bands and helping bands out. But as like the side job, other than creativity, I always wanted to do something that was just really, you know, not simple, but more, like you said, more physical work. Especially because I'm at a desk all day, I'm sitting down. I'm like, I want to get up, I want to move around, I want to do something. I'm a huge basketball fan. I can't even play basketball for the past, I don't know, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's really affecting me.
Yeah. I mean, I just started getting back into keto and working out at the gym right when all this crap started hitting again. Like being a mixer and an engineer, it's like you sit like 90% of the day, and it's going to affect my health. I just know it. How did you find all the artists that are on your label?
The first couple were local ones. The first one was this band Arrows Over Athens, and they were kind of like a pop punk emo band, you know, dual vocalists.
By the way, that's the one that like my daughter was drawn to. She loves like Paramore and that kind of like rock pop kind of stuff. We were just going through the bands like the other day, and she's like, "Oh, I really like this one." I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, Mimi Michelle, the singer, yeah, she kills it. She's in like a folkier, more like foxing band now, but nothing serious. But anything she sings on is just phenomenal. You know, we recorded at the studio I worked at. I was managing them, and then we didn't, you know, we're like, all right, well, we got this record that we recorded at the studio that I work at. We might as well put it out ourselves too. And I actually went back to school. So I was like, well, I'm going to start this entrepreneurship class and do a label for it and also actually do it.
Yeah.
So it's really this serendipitous moment of like, all right, well, I'm starting a label.
That's cool. How much development do you normally do? Since you worked at a studio, do you get in there and produce and stuff too?
I got to do some production on some bands. I offer any critique. Some bands like it. Some bands don't want any critique, and I'm okay with it. You know, I'm not signing a band because, you know, what I can change for them sonically. I think that there's just, as a label, like I never want to get too far into the creative process unless people want me to do that.
So are they generally receptive about like the label owner producing albums?
I'm not really producing, more just I hear demos and I'll figure out a song, you know, on guitar and you know, their structure and be like, hey, you know, I really love this, and this, but here's the one thing that I would change. And try to just keep it really simple and stuff that I not necessarily don't like, but something that I think would add to the song, and I give them a reason why. I'm like, this, you know, here's the best part of the song. Why don't we have it 3 times? Or this, you know, changing this part would create more attention here. I don't know. And some people listen, some people don't. It's just really the musician in me that blurts out things.
So for business aspects of it, do you have like an LLC for it? And if you do, how hard is that process?
That was pretty early on to do that. It's not that it's not that hard in Massachusetts, and now it's in Ohio. So changing it over, I kind of have people who do that. I don't like dealing with like the money stuff. I really love developing bands. I really like just figuring out where they fit and just trying to create a fan base, or, you know, dealing with the press. I love doing the press stuff, even though I have hired out for press, and there's only a few people that I really love for that. Like Jamie at No Earbuds is someone that I've went to a lot, and she's one of the people that you can trust that if you're going to pay someone money, that she's going to do her best job.
Oh yeah, I heard PR is just a nightmare for paying people to do things.
Yeah, because it's just hit or miss. It's more like, well, you're paying somebody, but they're probably working 4 records, and if your record's not one of those top 3, then you can't send 4 bands to one person in a month. I like doing it so I can space it out. Like I got to do the Snarls record for PR by myself because I just really love the record, and we we locked down just Rolling Stone and NPR and MTV, and they
Nice.
had a good following. And I just kind of paid attention to everyone who followed them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, putting the work, and any writer who cared about them at all. Like, all right, well, here's a record that's coming out that you seem to like. It's tedious. It's like really hard work to be good at press and to pay attention to every writer and every magazine, and more importantly, treat everyone equally, from like the smallest zine to Rolling Stone. That's another thing I try to do, is especially with bands. Even if a band sends me a demo, I'm gonna listen to it, because if I send out press, I want them to listen to it. That's all I ask. If you don't like it, that I can't help you there, but I'm gonna punish you until you listen to it. No, I'm not gonna punish that. I'm not that bad of a punisher. 2 follow-ups at most.
Nice. Yeah, it's kind of hard sometimes in the podcast to like get people to respond. I even had I had a podcast before this called A Band's Life. I was like, I'll just interview bands that I think are doing well in the industry, and no one would get back to me ever. And I just have to pester and pester and pester. It's, annoying.
Oh, bands are the worst to get back on anything.
That's why that podcast is no longer.
Yeah, I try to get bands to do their own press, like just answering emails. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks for 5 questions. Yes. I don't know why, but
that is an interesting thing. Like, you figure they'd want to talk about themselves more.
Some people get really anxious when they talk about themselves, or they don't want to say something. They need to sound cool. I don't know. I may be reading into it too much, or they may just be more focused on the art and hate press. A lot of bands just don't like press or don't like reviews of music.
I'm sure. So did you have like a professional lawyer write up contracts, or are they kind of handshake agreements, or how was that process?
Lately it's been like not long contracts. They're 4 or 5 pages long, and they're pretty simple. And anytime there's been a dispute on anything, it's like, hey, what can we do to fix it? How do we, we're not making tons of money, and no one really is on an indie label.
Yeah.
But some of them are, handshake deals where it's just, 50-50, and here's everything. And those are some of the early bands, and those are some of the bands that I have, I still talk to that are in bigger labels.
Did you do like single record deals with them, or were there more?
At first it was single, and then now it's more 2 album deals, because most, it's really hard to make money on the first record for anybody, because that's where just all the work is going in, and all really just, especially when you're pressing vinyl, like, you're putting in 10 grand into a project for recording, vinyl.
Oh yeah, it's trying to leave, you're like a rocket ship trying to leave the frickin' atmosphere. It's easier when you get out, but like, getting out of there it's hard to do.
Okay. You'll start making money if a band's still a band after when they're on their second album, and they're, a year into their second album, but you're not really instantly making money on too many bands at all. We're, knock on wood, we're on the second album of a lot of bands this year. Like Future Teens is, they're on their 2.5, and Kali Masi has their second full length. Barely Civil has another full length. Man Dancing has their second full length. Sarah and the Safe Word has their second full length. We're hoping, same thing with City Mouth, and Jetty Bones has her first full length, but it's on Rise Records. But I think that's something that's going to really, like, her new music is freaking awesome. I've heard a single, and that's all I needed to hear.
Cool.
And that's really, I think that's where it is, and that's why I'm always like the advocate of, if there's a bigger home after one, then we can send you. But ultimately, it'd be, I'd love to do 2. And then maybe at the end of 2021, I'd love to start keeping bands on and like trying to, be a bigger label where we're putting even more money into our bands, and we're able to keep them for a longer term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to go back to earlier with bands moving on to bigger labels, like, I don't understand why people would be so anxious to like hold on to them, like if they're going to go somewhere else, because like if you take a look at Lookout Records, while they ended tragically, that's kind of their fault, but they made so much money from the back catalog of all those bands that moved on to bigger things. That was it was insane. And I don't understand why labels wouldn't be more willing to be like, no, please get bigger. So the stuff that we already did with you does better,
Yeah, but I mean, it all depends if it's like, do you own that record? Is it a license? How long is the license for? Some labels, they want to hold on. I mean, if you're a small label and you have one band that's doing it, you want to hold on to that band, right? It's your quote unquote cash cow. Because, a lot of people think like, oh, I'm never going to find a band like this again. Conversely, I thought I can do this a lot more often. So I felt I knew my place in like the ecosphere of music industry world, where at the time, a year, 2 years ago, I really needed to try to, get bands, be the first person to get on these bands and help them build to finding an agent, to find tours, to find bigger labels, to find like management teams, to just like really carve out these 18-month to 24-month plans and have a bigger vision, so that in turn, because these bands are succeeding, I'd be able to get better bands, because better bands further along in their career would take the label more seriously, and I'd be able to kind of have a better pick.
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned doing vinyl earlier. How's that process, and do you do that for every band? Like you said, like you were talking about the first records as the hardest. Do you do that for the first record of most artists too?
We started off doing it a lot, and we found we've done vinyl for two or three bands in the beginning. Vinyl that the bands broke up within a year of it coming out, which sucked. And then we still have a lot of the older vinyl, but when we start doing it again and going to, just doing it more smartly, like we didn't have to do it right off the bat. An example is like Barely Civil. We didn't do it right off the bat when their album came out, but we did about 6 months later, which, it breathed some new life into the album. I think we did it for like Black Friday sale. Like the album came out in March, and then whatever Thanksgiving, we did it like $10 vinyl, and we sold a bunch. We was like, all right, let's do a huge sale, first time on vinyl. Let's just get it out to people. But we're finding that you don't necessarily need vinyl, especially if a band's not touring and you're trying to build a band. If there's a band that's already put out like 2 records and this is their third full length, to me, you have to do it. But the smaller bands where you're just building, like, you don't need to spend $5,000 on vinyl because it's going to look cool. I think you can do better things with merchandising, just doing more shirts and trying to do cheaper items, or not so much cheaper, but items you don't need to press 500 of to have a profit margin that's, acceptable.
Yeah. Working with bands over the years, like vinyl was a huge thing always with them, like pushing for it, and even go back to when CDs started being like easy to get done, and they'd want to get like 1,000 or something. And I know some of those bands that even moved on to bigger things, and they still have like a giant box of those stupid things in their basement.
Yeah, I remember Rufio was doing 10,000 CDs out of their van before they got a record deal.
Yeah.
Or Against Me was doing, I remember them playing like UMass, doing CDs right out of the van forever till they got huge. Now kids aren't buying CDs like that. I do think they're buying vinyl, but we like to do cooler, people want cool colors. I want the packaging to be professional. There's a lot of thought that goes into it, and just like the aesthetic and the look that fits the album, and the bands that really dive into that stuff, I get excited about. Like the Glass Beach album. The band that Run for Cover did this double LP of Glass Beach, and I love that band, and it just looks awesome.
I was always drawn to like even with CDs, like every once in a while you get a band that would just make like a really well packaged CD with like something crazy different, and like, oh wow, even though I might not even be into this artist, this is an art in and of itself.
Yeah, I think the visual aspect behind a lot of artists is huge, and a lot of those people are just like unsung, uncredited artists. I always want to make sure I'm crediting people on like photo posts, and I'm not always the one to. I don't do it all the time because I'm always trying to get like one link in and one thing and make people, less text the better on social media.
Yeah.
But I always like, I go in and I'm like, I got to edit this person in because this person's the photographer and that, we don't get this image unless this person puts it in. More often than not, I do it. I hate when I don't do it.
Yeah.
Do you guys do cassettes too at all?
Yeah, we do cassettes on a few bands. We've licensed out cassettes to labels, and we've done like exclusive cassettes for other releases. It all depends. Like some bands are cassette bands and some bands are not.
Yeah.
I try to really read the room, but I'm open to anything. So a lot of labels don't want to do cassettes, and we have like Future Teens, like their new LP breakup season on Triple Crown. Triple Crown didn't want to do cassettes. I'm like, let me do cassettes, and they're like, sure. They're like, just like very easy. Like, okay. Sure. There's no money in cassettes. I'm like, I mean, I know there's no money, but it's cool to get it out there and have that medium.
Yeah, I feel like there's obviously no one that's really listening to them. I mean, vinyl in and of itself, I think the numbers are like 85% of people that buy it don't even listen to it. So it's kind of, I don't know, something fun to have.
I actually have the record player with a cassette player in it, so I can listen. Yeah. So I can listen to the tapes.
Nice.
And boy, do tapes sound bad.
Yeah.
I had some tooth and nail stuff from the late 90s. Like I just sold a bunch of that stuff online the other day. I was like, oh, people want this still? And I listened to it. I was like, oh, it's awful.
It's more just a physical collecting issue.
Yeah, pretty much. So with streaming and whatnot getting bigger and bigger, I know people love to hate on it. What's your take on it, and how does that kind of play into your income as a label?
I don't hate on it. I know the labels like Vagrant and Drive Thru are loving it because it they sold out like Save Say Stay Where You Are. You know that record, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. It sold, over 100,000 copies in the early 2000s. And then, didn't sell that many copies after 2010. But streaming became big. And now that album's making, come on, that song At Your Funeral has to have millions of plays.
Yeah.
Which even if you're going by the lowest algorithm of money, which I see a lot of people like throwing off 10 million plays, and for getting 0.004 cents a play, that's $400,000.
Yeah. Gosh, that song was on like a Winamp playlist for me, man. It goes back, so it's like, yeah, it was a while ago. But I know that
$40,000. I was off by a zero. There's a big difference. I was like, oh, 400, geez, but.
There are people that make that, though. I was watching some video by Finn McKenney the other day, and he was talking about some metal band from the early 2000s that's making bank off the old stuff they did. They're no longer together, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's really where it is. Like, you got to think of it as a supplemental income. Like, and then it also, like, pushes people like, all right, well, you really need to pay attention to Spotify and Apple and the playlisting people and to be able to write a really good pitch. Mm-hmm. We have bands that do pretty decently on it, and it's not going to make back a recording budget of $10,000, and then in like a couple months, but over the span of 2 years, you might get it back, and then as long as streaming continues over the long run, if you have a record for a license of 10 years, there's 8 years of the band splitting profit. Mm-hmm. But the band needs to stay together. That's really where it is. It's the bands that break up early that, they put out one awesome record and they break up, and there's no one's promoting it, just living on Spotify.
Oh, I imagine people too I don't know, it must be probably a thing that people wouldn't want to be, fans of a band that might not still be around, I
mean, like American football, like blew up way after the album came out. I remember that came out and no one really cared. Mm. And now they're just they did 2 LPs in 5 years, and they're selling out shows.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one that exists that proves me wrong.
I just found a new life online.
That's true. What do you think about 360-ish deals? Like, if like a label was to work and purchase all said things to sell?
I mean, I don't think they're cool unless I guess if you're a major label and you're offering tons and tons of money, and in this climate, like bands making 3 records.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't think indie labels should be doing that and offering $50,000. I don't think that makes sense at all to take that. We don't deal with any publishing. Like, we give all the publishing to the bands. In fact, I recently found one of my bands a publishing deal, and we don't take any of that money.
Okay.
Merchandising, we do. We own a couple designs for each band, but other than doing the stuff like with a pre-order with an album, like that's all the band stuff. All the shows of a 360. That's we're finding agents for the bands, and that's between the agent and the band. We're just supplementally trying to support those tours through press, through finding like Audio Tree sessions or Pace sessions or Little Elephant sessions or local write-ups in magazines. As a label, that's kind of what we're supporting in hopes that you're going to sell our physical medium or stream it online. But that's really between the band. That's where the band makes the most money, is playing shows, which is really unfortunate with this. Who knows what's going to go on the next 6 months.
I was going to ask how hard that's kind of hit you guys and the artists.
Oh, pretty hard. Yeah. I'm scared to see what happens when, we're supposed to open up in a week and a half.
Oh, is that, you guys are doing that? You guys are opening up in a week?
May 4th is supposedly like 2 weeks, I guess, but some states are opening up. I think Texas is opening up soon. I don't know what's real or what's not. I heard 29 states are going to open up, at least slowly.
Yeah.
And if it goes badly, sports and music are going to take the biggest hit.
Yeah.
I mean, bars too. I mean, I have friends who are, bartenders, waitresses that are just out of work, or they're looking to clean people's houses. It's just bad.
Yeah, that's got to be hard.
Yeah, I mean, there's like grants and all this stuff that's going out. I don't know personally anyone who's gotten them.
Yeah, I actually tried to get one, and it was like the website was down, and then there was a page that was like, well, we're out of money. Like, okay.
every the entire fund, it was out on last Friday or something. And if you didn't apply, then no, you're out of luck. It's like, oh, cool.
Yep.
Cool.
And it ended up going to like a crap ton of like huge companies.
Oh yeah, I'm reading just stuff where like hedge fund people are claiming it like as a small business. I'm trying to read as much as possible and not believe everything.
Yeah, it's hard not to be disappointed in that. Have any of your artists or you guys as a label kind of changed your social media presence up because of it? I see a lot of bands or even freaking celebrities are out there like doing different things because everybody's stuck at home.
I know there's tons of live streams. I'm not sure if people are watching them. I know some are. I'm not sure if that's good or just bad because it's going to get played out. I feel like people are really, everyone's reacting as opposed to like setting agendas on what to do and how to plan it out. The hardest question for me is, are we going to bump albums? A lot of bands just don't want to. They want to put it out without any touring, it could be awesome because everyone's at home and there's a chance to listen to music. But like every day I go on Twitter, I see a bunch of writers getting laid off or, fired or anything. It's like, all right, well, the press, there's less people that talk about your record. There's, really a minimal amount of sites that you can go to, and the bigger sites are very hard to get, period. Trying to get that word of mouth fan push.
Yeah, I think it'd probably fall back on how well they are connected to their fans on social media and whatnot right now. Then, how involved in that are you as a label, like in the band's social media presence? Are you completely hands off or?
We usually have an art person that creates a lot of stuff for our bands, and I tell a few bands like, please post more on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other bands that post so much. It's just very polarizing in between bands. The bands that want to post more and bands that don't. Some people right now are just getting really anxious that, they had a tour for 30 days and an album that just came out. Normally you're going to get the post. Your social media plan was going to be posting all the new cities you're in and all the new fans you're making every day. And now you're at home doing nothing, wondering if your tour is canceled or postponed. And then, we have bands that have, touring for 12 months planned out, and the first one got canceled, not even postponed. And then we're waiting to announce the next one. We don't know if that's going to get canceled or postponed. And it's really just a crapshoot.
Yeah. Have any of them gone to like Patreon or anything like that? Like with my other podcast at A Band's Life one, most bands had a really negative view of it.
I don't know. I mean, we've done is like where we basically gave like free merch to every band that we could to sell. Like, some bands had we printed up, we gave them like 100 vinyl and like 100 CDs and 100 shirts for their tour they're supposed to go on. And they pay us basically the cost of it. And we're just like just keep them, like don't even pay us anything, which is basically like giving like $2,500 to $3,000 free merch. I'm like, sell them online, sell them in your store, do what you can to make money. There's grant stuff out there for bands. I know one of our bands got like a local like Columbus music grant in Ohio. Cool. So anytime I see something like that, I'm sending it to bands, doing a lot of like Instagram live, like, hey, post a Patreon, play this live set, see if people can give you money.
Mm-hmm. I really wonder why artists, at least in, like I said, for that other podcast I used to do, were very negative about it, because to me, like as a fan of like certain bands, it's so easy to be like, here's $1 a month, like, and not even affect you. Like you don't even realize that dollar comes out of your bank account. And it could be something like when this kind of crap were to happen, like it could support that artist long term. So
yeah, I haven't seen any of our bands do a Patreon for like an extended time. I know they'll throw like a PayPal link when they're doing live stuff recently, which I think, it's kind of like going on the street, throwing out a guitar case and, hey, we're playing a set. If you like it, throw some money.
Yeah. Are people receptive of that instead?
Yeah. I mean, the bands are okay with that. I don't know how much the bands are, because some bands have jobs that they're still doing, and some bands are just out of luck, not able to have any job because they're supposed to be on tour. There's so many in betweens, and then I don't want to be the person to tell them like what's good and what's bad. As far as like, I think everyone should try it out. Like it's not going to hurt your image to say, hey, we're going to play some shows. Here's a Patreon, here's a PayPal. I don't think there's any negative connotation to be like, we need money.
Yeah.
It'd be appreciative of the fans. I think there's ways, maybe get demos out there of old stuff and try to, have the bands like release it on their own, like do Bandcamp. It all depends how long it's going to last.
That's true. I mean, I'm sure it's hard for you guys, and I definitely know it's hard for the bands too. So here's hoping that all the good news we've been hearing lately about it kind of coming to an end is true.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm very doubtful of it. It just, I mean, maybe you'll get to play shows in your own state, which should be really interesting.
I don't know. It's hard to completely open back up, I'm sure, just right off the bat, not have people scared to come out.
Yeah, I mean, the Trump phase one is start, people who have to go back to work, be the guinea pigs, see if they get sick. And then phase two is, that worked. Let's get the more important people out there.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I'm one of the people working right now in, I don't think I'm scared because I'm sort of young and in okay shape. So I don't think I'm going to die from it, but I just would never want to spread it or just be part of that, the asymptomatic people. Other than like working at the store, I'm just inside working on music. I'm listening to so many new bands. Whew.
Yeah, that is one good thing. Maybe that'll come out of it, is that people got into more music because of it.
I hope so. Streaming numbers are finally going back up. It was really down. I get numbers from our distributor on like worldwide trends, and what went up first couple or 3 weeks were children's music and workout playlists.
Oh, I'm sure. Everybody at home. Here, kids.
Yeah, here's for the kids. I'm gonna go work out in the other room. Kids listen to this playlist, the kid stuff.
Yeah, I know YouTube was like crashing with how much people were watching it too. So sheesh.
People want to watch stuff and get their mind off of it. Music, I feel, is a more immersive thing when you want to really listen to music, and then you're losing these commutes to work too, where music is a huge part of it. Especially in the cities. You got an hour commute to your job. I'm gonna listen to music for an hour. It's this playlist. No one's listening to that playlist anymore because they're not commuting. They're at home and they're like, I'm just gonna watch 2 episodes of this show to kill time in between lunch and breakfast, or breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, I mean, when I did my, I would do some gig stuff on the weekends if mixing wasn't doing too well, and so that was definitely put on a playlist or put on a podcast. Well, we're going to wrap up here in a second, but for distribution, who do you guys usually go through for online stuff?
Well, ADA is our physical and digital distribution.
Oh, okay, so it's wrapped up in one.
Yeah, so they do like Epitaph. I think they still do Run for Cover. Just so all the bigger labels. It's really between that and like the Orchard are like the 2 really big distributors for indie labels out there.
Oh, okay, I have to look into them.
Yeah, it helps us helping with pitching for playlists and helping, say if there's something wrong on like Spotify. I know kids who would like to use DistroKid or like TuneCore. It could take like a week to fix, but going with a bigger distributor, it could take like 25 minutes to fix.
Nice.
Which, I mean, I like to think that we don't have too many mistakes, but in case it comes up.
Yeah, well, I definitely have friends that's happened to, like to where they had to, it was a pain getting them to actually change things.
Yeah, wrong profile, or if you get the wrong thing on the first day, you lose the algorithm. Period.
Yep. So, here's kind of like my wrap up thing. My idea of kind of like record labels going into the future includes a lot more like social media and a lot more like of bands kind of needing to shift to become like content creators in general, maybe to follow a bit of that like YouTuber-ish trend. What do you think about the idea of a label becoming more central in helping them kind of provide that content?
No, I think that's a key thing that we do. We're a label is essentially a bank with a marketing firm. We try to help any band create as much content as they want. We have an art person in-house that helps out with a lot of that stuff if they want to, but often, bands have their own people, and I'm okay with that. Labels, we're curators. Labels are really a bigger picture, playlist maker. We're trying to build, as far as what we do, we're dealing with the press every day. We're dealing with agents, managers, trying to figure out, a long-term plan, how to build a band to create, fan bases in different areas, how to build on that, how to create, find the right market for the band, like some bands are great on Bandcamp. Let's focus our stuff there. Some bands are great on YouTube. Some bands perform on SoundCloud. Some bands were really killing on Spotify, but they don't do it on YouTube. Why not? Where's the disconnect? And that's really... As a label, we're trying to, figure out every day and build upon. And if we can, make one success, one positive move every day for each band, I feel it's a good day.
Nice. Well, thanks so much, dude, for for doing the podcast. I know we went a little bit over than the time I said we were going to take, but I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm here all day, so
I have found that people are I've gotten like 4 or 5 podcasts in this last week booked for recording, so I might be set for a month or so.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm excited. I like the story. Let me know when you start. Is your label up and running?
No. The whole idea of the podcast is to it's a journal and like me going along with it to kind of force me to go it, because I've had an idea for a label for years. So this is kind of more forcing me to move forward. And as soon as like it's supposed to kind of meet bands on the podcast and, try to go through all the small details and even to the contract and everything else. So it's kind of just walking along with the process.
Yeah, I mean, it's have you found the band? I feel like I'm interviewing you now.
No, not yet. We've got a few people that have emailed me about it yet, but I'm hoping to wait till maybe I can get out more and see more artists, because I think part of it is maybe watching them live and seeing how they do their thing.
Yeah, I think some artists just really connect when you see them live.
Definitely. I mean, I used to be a huge fan of 5 Iron Frenzy, and
their album.
They're a fun band, like on their album, but like you go to see them live and they're just crazy. Like they're energetic. There was like one festival I went to where they threw out a piñata full of pork and beans. I mean, it was just they're just nuts. So like like when a band is really good when they're live.
I saw them. I think Ska Against Racism.
Yeah, gosh, that's way back in the day.
Less Than Jake, 5 Iron Frenzy, Mike Park, MU330.
Yep, I remember that. Gosh, when they came through Chicago.
Oh yeah, I saw it at Hartford, and we're the only venue in Hartford. I can't think of the name. Webster Theater. There we go.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking probably to be more indie rock, more maybe pop punkish. That's kind of like where, even though my palate's a little bit more than that, that's kind of like where my heart's always lied. But I don't know. Good bands, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just find something you're willing to lose sleep over. It's kind of
seriously.
Yeah.
How much? Last question.
Yeah, throw it. I'm here, man.
How much time do you think you put in to the label a week?
To a week?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm answering emails from the second I wake up till the second I go to sleep. Sometimes I'm up at 3 a.m. for UK stuff.
Oh wow.
I don't know. It's really fun for me. It only stresses me out when like something goes wrong that I can't fix, and that's really stressful. Not even I can't fix, but I have no control over. That's the worst. If I have something with a band and there's a problem, I have control over it. Usually, I fix it and it the band's happy. The stuff I can't control is like the stuff that stresses me out, and I'll lose sleep over that. But other than that, working on stuff is fun. Like getting. Like sharing music is kind of what I, grew up loving to do, and I still love doing it.
Mm-hmm. Same. I'm right there with you, dude.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably looking at 50 hours, and that I'm at but I'm working Saturday and Sunday. If you're counting listening to demos I get on the weekends, then that could be time towards the label.
Mm.
But yeah, it's like a 24/7 job. Because you never, especially when bands are on tour, I'll get a call from, even if it's just 3 of my bands are at a festival and they're calling me at 5 a.m. because they're drunk. And I'm like, what's going on? And what went wrong? Nothing. We're just calling to say hello. I'm like, guys.
Like, thanks, guys.
And they pass the phone around. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
I'd see that number probably and be like, crap, did their van break down or something,
Exactly. Did something go wrong? Is there a problem? Was a fan being stupid?
How often do you get a fan being stupid?
Fans being stupid. I mean, I have a lot of non-men on my roster, and a lot of young dudes are dumb.
Oh,
but say stupid stuff on stage. I'm like, oh, why are these kids saying this stuff? It needs to be a learning experience.
It's because they're kids and crazy.
Yeah, kids are crazy, and
they don't think about what they do.
No, they don't. And yeah, but other than that, it's just really, I don't think too many vans are broken down.
Knocking on the wood.
Yeah, it's not literally knocking on wood. It's like, but I can't wait. I can't wait till that's a problem again. Can't wait down the road.
That's true. That's a happy problem right now.
Yeah, I don't know how many. A few bands own vans, and some bands rent vans, and some bands borrow vans. I'm just mad about there's recording that gets bumped back.
Yeah,
that's the stressful thing right now. Like we're slowly like sitting on a few albums that are getting just final mixes and final masters, and there's like 2 days in the studio for another band that we're trying to schedule, but just keeps getting pushed back. Mm-hmm. And then there's a whole like 2 weeks in the studio with like a band that also keep getting pushed back because you can't travel to Philadelphia, you can't travel to this place.
Yeah, geez. Well, hoping that opens back up so that everyone can get moving again. I mean, this whole thing has kind of hampered what I wanted to do because I was like, oh sweet, well I'm going to be going out to shows, I'm going to be looking for bands, and when I was like, oh well, I guess I'm not doing that anymore. Not until this gets moving.
I think it's a good time to find that you can find a band that you can push a band creating a digital platform where it's a low risk for everyone that you can if. A lot of bands, I haven't gotten so many demos in my entire life in the past 2 weeks.
They got nothing else to do. Like, oh sweet, let's go find labels.
Yeah, any band who track their stuff, it's getting mixed and mastered now. There's so much stuff out there. Bigger bands are in this flux because bigger labels aren't. They're not going to put out an album or sign a new band unless there's touring behind it. I think for smaller labels that are starting up, might be a really good time to find a good band that's in a flux where you're like, hey, this is our plan for you. It's going to be digital, but that's pretty much what everyone else is going to do anyways. Instead of being, one of 20 bands, you're one of one.
That's kind of where I wanted to go. Anyway, I kind of wanted to have it more of an aspect of a lot more social media of them doing their thing as a band. We have even at some point have some writers to do some stuff, almost make it like a YouTube video kind of deal, and just do, even if we need to do singles once a month, go to a professional studio, record even the video for doing that. And yeah, I kind of wanted to do more video and whatnot for that, but even video would be hard for right now unless they're doing it themselves. So
yeah, we're trying to get a video for a band right now, and there's 6 members and they're all at home and they can't see each other. And we're trying to figure out a way to do a video with all of them.
Did you see the John Feldman doing that Goldfinger stuff?
Oh yeah.
I think he even had Mike Herrera on it. If they have small recording rigs, I'm sure they could do something like that.
Yeah, I think it's not even the audio, it's just getting all the band members, and it's going to be probably similar to that, similar to you saw do you see the SNL stuff they were doing? Mm-mm. SNL did a whole from at home show.
Oh,
it was interesting. There's a few bad ones. They had poster board from high school, as the visuals in the background instead of actual, professional, props because they're just at their homes. But people are doing it. I think we're gonna try to do stuff like that and just get it out there. And it's either going to be really quirky and fun and kids are going to like it because there's music and some type of visual attached to it, or it could be a risk where we should have waited 6 months to put it out. That's really my worst fear right now, putting something out and in retrospect what, this would have been done better if we waited 6 monts. But you never know, you might wait 6 months, you might have to wait a year.
Well, I hear a lot of your emails going off.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No.
It's weird that I want to start the day at 8 o'clock, but everyone else in music starts their day noon, and they get It's and mostly a lot of them are obviously in LA or different places. But I try to do a lot of UK stuff or Europe stuff early.
Yeah, rock bands. When I was working at a recording studio or doing it myself, they generally want to get in at about 9 or 10 a.m. to do music and whatnot. But when I was in a working for a recording studio, we did a ton of hip hop stuff, and oh my gosh, they wouldn't come in till like 5 p.m. at the earliest, and you wouldn't get out till 5 a.m. to like the latest or earliest then. So it was like, oh gosh, like stumbling outside. But anyway, thanks, man, again for coming on. I'll let you get back to your label duties, and I really do appreciate you giving me all that information and whatnot, and being cool with talking to a guy that wants to start a label too.
No, I wish you the best of luck. I think there's always room for more people helping, smaller artists and just kind of doing what they can for other people. I think it's important.
Very cool. Do you want to plug any new releases or anything?
We got, depending when this comes out, I guess on April 24th, we got City Mouth's new album. Cobing Machine comes out. We got a new single from Super American called How Big Is Your Brain that's already out. And Snarls' album was the first record we put out this year, and it's freaking phenomenal. Snarls Burst. Yeah, check it out if you're into That Dog, Snail Mail, Soccer Mommy.
Very cool. Well, thanks, dude, and have a good day, man.
Yep, see ya.